yo, what's going on, guys? How you doing? How you doing? I don't know if you've been watching my page on Instagram, but I've been watching To Catch A Copper on Channel 4. I didn't think I was gonna watch it. Then I thought, yo, let me just give it a go. Avon and Somerset, yeah, the commissioner for Avon and Somerset, shout out you, because yeah, like, you lot really just opened the doors to how the investigation goes. So officers have always had an inkling. So unless you've been on the, okay, let me rewind. To Catch a Copper is about police officers that investigate police officers. Yeah, so it sounds amazing, and I mean, it is to an extent, but Avon and Somerset have done every police officer, I guarantee you, has thought, I wonder how these guys investigate us. And it's exactly how we thought. It's exactly how. So I'm going to do a quick rundown of what happened. This is more of like a reactionary video, because what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to break down like victims and stuff, because I don't want to get like, there's victims and there's people that are affected by some of the stuff that's happened, so it wouldn't be appropriate for me to talk about it, even though it's been done and I can talk about it, but I'm just not going to, because it's not cool. What I will talk about is from the perspective of watching how they conduct their investigations. And this is what people need to really pay attention. If you watch all of my other videos, I've been saying that I believe that this is how they investigate. I have no proof as such, because unless you sit there and watch them or they tell you how they do it, then you can only go from what you understand and what you see and what you encounter when they investigate you. But boy, was I right. Man, was I right. I love being right. So we'll look at the first one. Is it Sergeant Cocker? Great name, by the way. Sergeant Cocker, he's been accused, he's been alleged. So okay, so here's the problem. Here's the problem at the beginning. A woman has rang up and said, I've had sex with a police officer in the car. She's given her events, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to say whether it's true or not. She's given her events, and her events was she was drunk, she had sex with this police officer, he wanted to have sex with her. Cool. Yeah? She rings 999, she tells 999. Cool. That's that. There you go. That's all over there. I'm not going to talk about that. I don't care about that. Whether it's true or not, I don't care about that. What I care about is how the investigation happened. You would think, everyone knows, well, you should know, that having sex, if you're drunk, you can't consent. That's what the law says. I don't care what anyone else has to say about it. You can have your personal views, that's cool. But the law says if you have sex with someone and they're drunk, they can't consent. So they can't say yes, that means it's rape. First things first, why wasn't Cocker getting done for rape? That's the question, right? Why isn't he getting done for rape? Because, he should be getting done for rape. She said she was drunk. She said they had sex. It should be rape. But yet, for some strange reason on the show, he got done for something in a public office. Can't remember the full offence. Basically pissing around in the job as a police officer, taking a piss, or doing something do you know what I'm saying? It's misconduct in a public office, but that's not the offence. It's something in the public office. Can't remember what it is. Always forget that offence. And I'm like, well, wait a second, that don't make any sense. What do you mean? That's rape. It's rape. That's the first thing, that's the first alarm bell. As a police officer, I clocked it straight away. I was like, wait, that don't make sense. And then he's been charged. And what his defense was, look, I suffer from PTSD, which I 100% believe is very, very plausible that he suffers from PTSD. He's a police officer. And being in the police, I get it. I know a lot of people with PTSD, and I expect most officers have PTSD to some extent. But he says he suffers from PTSD, and he didn't want to have sex with her. He wasn't strong enough to say no. She put herself on him. She was aggressive, blah, 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 blah. Whether that's true or not, I don't care. I'm going to put it over there. Don't care, yeah? But that was his defense. Immediately, you see the investigating officer go, What? that's a bunch of BS. He didn't say BS, but you know, words to those effect, he was just basically saying, no way he couldn't defend himself, no way he could be a victim. And it's like, well, wait a second, you should be here to investigate all the evidence that you have. Police officers, all we are here to do is to present evidence to the court. That's it. We don't get to choose who's guilty or not. That's for the judge and the jury to decide. And live on TV, you can see it, and this is the maddest thing, and it's also pointed out by in the misconduct, which I'll get to later. They've already made a decision who's guilty or not. You're not allowed to do. You're not supposed to do that as a police officer. As a police officer, you're supposed to just collect evidence, present it to the court, CPS, and say, look, here you go. Take it to court, and then court will make a decision. We're not judge, jury, and executioner. Yeah. No matter what anyone will tell you, the police do not make the decisions. So they're already like, oh, what he's trying to say, he's a victim. For some strange reason, and I've been shouting this, I'm going to say it again on this show. In the Metropolitan Police and in society as a whole, it's a thing that men cannot be victims of sexual assault. They can't be. It's just not allowed. It's not accepted. By men, by women, it's just like, well, no, of course he could just stop it. He could just fight them. This guy was saying, look, I wasn't in the mental place. I didn't have the mental capacity to stop this woman. As laughable some people may find it, that's what he said. So that was his defense. So yeah, the DPS are like, nah, we don't believe him. From the jump, they're like, nah, he's chatting rubbish. And then you realise, as it goes on, that there's little to no evidence other than the woman saying it happened, him saying it happened, but it happened this way. So it's like, well, we can agree that something happened between them. But he's saying that she forced herself upon him. And what you see in the video is it already describes and frames the woman as drunk. She was going to get arrested for being for drunk in a public place or whatever. And she was acting she was being a nuisance. She was being disorderly on the street. So from his account, that from his account, it would be like, okay, cool. That kind of lines up with why he went to the call and what he's saying. But whatever. The investigating officers are like, nah. So they somehow get a charge for the public office offence and nothing else. And then we get to, it's like they sort of skim over it. They give you enough information to make you feel like he's a predator. They also call him a predator. They're like, oh my God, look at him. He's a predator. And I'm like, my man's just talking to her. It's one police officer talking to a woman. They talk. And apparently he says to her, go find your friends, go home or she'll get nicked. And she's like, all right, cool, I'll go find my friends. And he goes, if you can't find your friends, I'll drop you home. He goes that way, she goes this way, and you watch her on CCTV, go into the club, try and find her friends, blah, 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 blah. It basically comes out that she can't find them, meets up with this officer, and they go and do something. But while watching that, the commentary from the officers, oh, look at that predator, look at him, he's a predator. They're already framing him as the bad guy. Like, they're like, he's a predator. He's not showing any predatory, like, predatory, what's the word? My vocabulary is going. But you can't see it in what he's doing. He's literally just standing there and they've already said, nah, he's a predator. That is what, and I've been screaming this is what the DPS do. They make up their mind, and one of my best friends says this. He said, it's like America. They have an outcome in their head, what they want, and then they just make up a story to fit it, regardless of what the evidence points to. So they say, my outcome is he's a rapist. Let me make it him. In my head, let me convince myself and everyone else around me he's a rapist. Look at him. He's predatory. He's talking to her in an alleyway. It's like, no, that's just happened to where he came across her. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh yeah, he's going to go back and wait for her later. It's like, well, how do you know he just didn't walk off that way and send her off that way? And he didn't want to arrest someone because it's not in the public's interest. Is that beyond like the thought process of them? Of course it's not, but they don't want that to be the truth. Then we sort of do like a time skip. We hear him talk. His wife talks, blah, 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 blah. And then we're in court. And it's like, and one of my other good friends made that's such a good point. Such a good point. It took 4 years for them to collect all evidence and get it to court. And that will not be because the court took so long. So there's no blame in the court. So it's not like the court said, oh, you gotta wait 3 years. No. Investigations on average run 400 days. Yeah, and that's just for gross misconduct. So it's the Met's fault. The Met always long with this. So he gets sent off, 4 years investigation. And the reason, I'm guessing, the reason it took so long, and I'm waving my hands around, the reason it took so long was because they initially wanted to go for rape. The CPS probably went, okay, cool. What's she saying? And she's like, nah, he didn't rape me. We just had sex. There's a difference. And they couldn't convince her to say that she was too drunk to consent. That's what I bet. I bet you any money. I was betting that. And we'll see it at the end. So fast forward to court. 4 years of investigation. It took them 1 hour. 1 hour. The jury took 1 hour to go, nah, not guilty. And then he gets not guilty plea, whatever. They have the camera. I wish I could show the footage, but you know, I'll get like, they'll stop my video going out. So there's the video, the cameraman pans in on the officer and he is pissed. And I told you, I've said this before, these men get emotionally invested into this. And I had this conversation with my partner. I said the problem with the DPS is their job is to find people, find wrongdoing. So if you're only looking for wrongdoing, you're not going to look for people that aren't. So even if it presents itself to you, clear as day, this person didn't do it, well, I'm looking for something bad. So I'm going to just keep looking. I'm going to make stuff up if I have to. And it was for all of us to see. Unfortunately, I think that a lot of people missed that because they were focused on the fact that this man, predator, and they get caught in their emotions of all the stuff that happened before, of the other dickheads that did the other stupid stuff. I don't even want to remember their name. Carrick and, you know, the other idiot. Them two, waste men. So they're like, well, yeah, these guys must be right. They caught the other two. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. You got to look at the finer details of the situation. So he's sitting in his car. And this is another red flag for the DPS. Gets his phone, gets onto the phone, talks to a woman. I assume it's his line manager, colleague, line manager, whatever. And he goes, it only took them an hour to come to the verdict of not guilty. I'm so upset. Why are you upset, bro? If you didn't do it, you didn't do it. If you didn't present enough evidence, that's on you. Yeah, that's on you. Man's salty, sitting there on the phone. What does the woman say back down the phone? And this, to me, this is misconduct. She goes, well, he can't come back to this job. We're not going to let him come back. Wait, what? So what are you going to do? How are you not going to let him go? If he's innocent, what are you saying? Just because you don't feel like he's innocent, he's not allowed to be innocent in your eyes. So he's not allowed to come back to this job. And you're going to make it that way. What does the investigator respond? Yeah, well, for me, it's not over. I'm going to take him to gross misconduct. And what I'm going to do, the threshold is lower. So, you know, we can get him there. This is how they think. Go back in my videos. This is what I've been saying for years. This is how they conduct themselves. That is inappropriate. That is gross misconduct for me. That is corruption for me. These men are out here ignoring the facts because they feel as though they're right and everyone else is wrong. Or that jury is wrong. Or the evidence is wrong. Or that woman is wrong. Whoever it is, they think everyone's wrong and they're right. And this is how they conduct themselves. And this is why so many people go to gross misconduct and so many people get off, because the DPS are rubbish. They're rubbish, they're biased, they're corrupt in some cases. But I'm not done. So I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, I was laughing. And listen to the way that they frame it at the end. And this is what I really dislike. They were like, oh, he got paid over 180,000 while being investigated. So it wanted to invoke an emotional response from everyone and be like, oh my God, I can't believe he got paid while he was under investigation for a sexual allegation. It's like, well, keyword there, allegation, doesn't mean it's true. It just means that someone believes that this happened or someone said that it's happened. Doesn't mean it's true. People make false allegations all the time. Not saying that that woman did that, just an example. And they frame it and all they do is put a little writing at the end and just say, oh yeah, he got medically retired because prior, he actually states, I should have retired before. I was advised to medically retire because of my PTSD. And one of the reasons I immediately jumped to, and I was speaking to my partner about this, and she said the same thing. She said, well, the courts may have believed him because he may have been able to give evidence of him actually being sexually assaulted prior, and him actually showing the evidence of him having PTSD. It's quite plausible that his offence are more likely than the ones that the DPS were presenting, which was that he just pulled up, jumped in the car, driving on. Whatever they presented wasn't as plausible as what he presented. That's not his fault. That's not the woman's fault. That's the DPS's fault. Do you get me? So I was getting annoyed. I was like, well, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. I go on to X. Lo and behold, there's other police officers and people involved in police saying the same thing. They're like, well, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. Why isn't it rape? Why isn't it this? Why isn't it that? That doesn't make sense. So someone pulls up the gross misconduct hearing outcome. I shall read for you. And this is where it all makes sense, guys. Stand by. Are you ready? I took a little insert out, which explains everything. The panel cleared Mr. Cooking, but no reasons were given at the time. Its findings, now published, say the panel accepted it was more likely he was a victim of sexual assault rather than the sex being consensual. The panel, overseen by a legally qualified chair who is independent of the police, also criticised investigating officers for failings to pursue a number of lines of inquiries. How? Just anyone that's been under investigation, how many times have you said, yo, talk to that person will back it for me, and they're just like, nah, B. They do not want to find your innocence. The DPS are not there to help you. They simply want to get their numbers up. They're just as bad as the TSU with stop and search. They're just about numbers. They don't care about outcomes. They're just like, yeah, I got this guy, and this guy. I truly believe deep down, I cannot prove it, but I believe that is the only way or reason, rhyme to reason, that they would act in this way. That they must be getting something from just getting numbers. Because who the hell wants to have such a negative hit ratio? I take 100 shots and miss 100 shots. Like, what? That shows how poor you are. I ain't done though. This, the ruling says, indicated officers had already concluded who was a victim and who was a perpetrator, according to the local democracy reporting service. You're not allowed to do that as a police officer. You should not be deciding who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, blah, 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 blah. You're just supposed to get the evidence, present it. There's the suspect, alleged suspect, and the supposed victim. That's it. There's no, I'm going to ride with this guy because I truly believe that they're right. No, you shouldn't be doing that as a police officer. I'm not done yet. The woman involved, you ready guys and ladies? The woman involved, who cannot be named for legal reasons and was referred to as Miss A, declined to take part in the hearing and has never claimed the former sergeant sexually assaulted her during the incident, which took place in Christmas Eve. So, what can we get from this? What can we get? Does it seem like the DPS were like, fudge it, this woman isn't going to give us a good statement. She's not going to give us a statement. Oh, we can't do rape if she's not going to come with a statement. And if what she's saying is a weakness to our investigation, that's even worse. So how do we remove her from this investigation but still include the offence or what our supposed offence? I know what we can do. We can do blah, blah, blah in a public office, because we don't actually need her to say that that he raped her. We just need to prove that they had intercourse or some sort of misconduct. Boom, he's already admitted to doing something with her. We got it. Open and close, we got him. But what happened is, yeah, you got him to gross misconduct, but the legal qualified chair was just like, nah, B, sorry, your evidence is weak. And they just dashed it out. And it was just like, this is what I'm saying about the LQCs. Thank you. The Met are trying to remove these guys. And remove how you feel about sexual offences, men, police officers. Remove all of that. Just look at it from the position of these people operate on feels. That's all it is. Feels. If they don't like someone, and it works both ways. That's what you lot got to remember. They will do the opposite for their brethren. If it's their brethren, and I have seen it live with my own eyes, I have seen them have evidence proving that the person is wrong, but because it's their brethren, they're like, nah, let's just ignore that. I want this person to be like guilty, and they'll do it either way. They will do it either way. They don't like me, oh, conveniently, the evidence isn't strong enough, I'm sorry. I can't take this to misconduct. It's just not strong enough. No. Meanwhile, the same thing happens against me. Oh yeah, let's just take this black MO. Let's just take him. Let's go. They'll be like, what's the offense? Yeah, well, he's black. Yeah, let's go. And they're off onto the races. Am I calling them racist? Probably some of them. Wouldn't be surprised. But yeah. There was. I'll quickly do a quick rundown. We're at 20 minutes. I'll do a quick rundown of the rest of the stuff. So you had the two officers that decided to parver a woman that was trying to jump off a bridge. Fam! They dashed her in the car, parvered her while she had a spit hood on. Bro, like, come on. This is day one stuff. If someone's trying to kill themselves, you don't do harm to them. They need help. Come on, son. Do better. Those officers left because they knew they were getting fired, so that was the right outcome. Should have got done for assault, but for some reason the IOPC was like, nah, it's not worth it. Don't ask, don't know. The other two officers, which I should be fired, oh my days, the other woman that was having a mental health crisis or an episode, they've gone to help at the hospital, and they're there laughing, taking the mickey out of the woman. She's urinated on herself, saying mad inappropriate stuff, all on body camera. And they got reflective practice. For anyone that doesn't know what reflective practice is, it's just words of advice. Don't do that again, James. Don't do that again, Dave. It's not very good, and it probably didn't feel nice for the person. What? Reflective practice should be for a mistake, i.e., sorry, I forgot my handcuffs for the 5th time. And they're like, well, you know what, look, come, we're gonna have to give you a talking to. We need to make sure you understand the importance of keeping your handcuffs and your handcuffs keys and stuff like that, and the officer safety, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what reflective practice is for. Reflective practice is doing something silly that no one got injured or hurt by, and it's something that you can learn from. Like, do you get what I'm saying? It was an accident. What they did was malicious. They knew what they were doing. And if they didn't, they still shouldn't be in the police. Empathy. Oh, God, they had none. And they were like, oh, yeah. On reflection, that was probably an inappropriate thing to say. No. You shouldn't have to reflect. You're going to someone that is suffering and you're like, ha. Oh, she's peed on us. Like, are you okay? Avon and Somerset, you flopped on that one. They should be gone. That should have been gross misconduct. Come out. Was there another one? There might have been another one, but I can't remember. Let me have a think. No, don't think there's another one. Anyway, if there was, I can't recall it off the top of my head because those are the main 3. Next week is supposed to be about racism, and I've already got a heads up about it. Apparently it is wild though. So tune in, I'll do a video for that one as well. But yeah, guys, anyway, click likes, all that stuff. Go watch this on YouTube as well. I'm gonna put someone on Instagram, but everyone's watching on Instagram and not on YouTube. Watch on my YouTube, damn it. Anyway, subscribe and like and all that stuff. Thank you, guys. Oh, and repost this on Instagram if you're gonna watch it. Just repost it. Let other people watch it, because people need to know. Watch the corruption live and in colour. Avon and Somerset have all done us a favour. Shout out Avon and Somerset Police. Your chief officer, you are sick for this. You're the one. Shout out you. Regardless of what it shows, at least you want to show transparency. yeah, hopefully the Met can do the same. Doubt it. Anyway, guys, peace.